Hey cats, it's EDDBUD here, today with a new colourway of a shoe that I absolutely love from 2024. It's a cracking new version of the ALPHAFLY 3. This is the Eliud Kipchoge signature one. I mean, it's as close to an After 8 dinner mint as we're going to get. Vapor green, black and dragon red. I've grabbed a UK 10.5 this time. My typical size is like a UK 11 or US 12. But is there any major difference going down a half size? I was keen to see if I could get a slightly better fit up front for my slightly narrow foot. Does it make any difference whatsoever? Let's find out. Thanks for joining me on the channel, people. It's always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like too. Drop us a comment as well to help the YouTube algorithm. Dankeschön. In hand, gotta say, this new version of the ALPHAFLY 3 is really nice. Quality wise, it's not too bad. There's only one or two little areas that are any note really in terms of poor production. On the ALPHAFLY 3, the area around the toe box here at the front of the shoe is always a bit of a problem. I think where they apply the paint, the ZoomX material and the paint that's on top of that just always seems to crease. They never seem to get a really clean line here. But at the end of the day, you know, it's a running shoe. It's going to get graunched around a bit. Kind of sad because the rest of the shoe's actually really well put together and it's actually pretty decent. Probably the best one of the three pairs that I've got. Hope my wife doesn't find out about that. There's not too many glue marks or poorly aligned pieces in this one, and I'm very thankful for that. You do get one of these very fetching bags here in the vapor green colorway. It's got like a leaf type print on it as well. It's really cool. They've done that on the insole too. I'll try and put some pictures of that up on the screen right now for you. So it's kind of like the earth and then the trees and everything. It's like an environmental shoe, trying to put you in the shoes of Eliud himself as he's training, although most of us probably wouldn't be able to do the volume that guy's doing. Out the box, the foam is a bit creased as always with ZoomX. Perhaps if this is the first pair of ZoomX shoes you're picking up, then don't be dismayed when you see that. That is pretty much what happens. I've been running in PIBA based ZoomX shoes for many years and they're all like it, okay, out the box. So don't be worried if you get a pair and you see that straight away. So the dragon red paint here is there to mimic the dirt coloured roads around where Eliud trains normally. The paint's actually got quite a different texture to it than some of the other ALPHAFLY 3s I've picked up over the last few months. That exposed foam on the outsole area as well does feel a little bit different. The paint feels a little bit more coarse. Almost looks like a clay type colour. I really quite like it. I'm hoping that the outsole, at least on this one's going to hold up a little bit better over the winter. Yeah, as soon as you wear these, the upper's just going to get mashed up. You're going to get specks and dirt and sort of grime all over it, but it's a shoe again, you know. This isn't some hype beast thing. It's a tool for running and gaining access to like a new level of enjoyment. At least that's how I look at it. Does beg the question whether the ZoomX material is kind of nerfed almost by the paint. I do recall in the proto version I've got, there's a outer layer to the foam that does seem to soften up over time, and that shoe is incredibly comfortable now. Took it out for another 10-mile effort this morning and the legs still operate, you know, in sort of a normal way, which is great for me. One thing I found on the Volt pair is that most of the midsole was actually painted yellow and then they kind of applied this blue paint to it, which has worn away over time. So I do wonder whether the same thing will happen with this new Eliud Kipchoge pair. The other odd thing as well is this rubber section here does seem to be different. You haven't got this sort of orange part here. I always assumed it was just different rubber because it kind of stands out a little bit from everything else. Whereas on this pair, it's kind of like a seamless thing really. You can't tell the difference between the rubber section there and the bit underneath the pods. I really love the gradient that we've got here on the paint on the midsole. It does look really great. I wanted to get these when I first saw them, and in hand I'm really pleased with them. We've got an Eliud Kipchoge there on the rear pull tab and the signature of the great man himself back there on the medial side of the heel. They've got a new ALPHAFLY sort of text logo here on the tongue, but you can't really see it. The laces are obscuring some of the letters. It does feel like a slightly odd choice to position it there. Although I think if you see these things coming, then You'll know what they are. There's nothing else that looks like this shoe. The black swoosh is a little bit darker than on some of the other versions of the ALPHAFLY 3 that we've seen, and you got the smaller one on the medial side as well. So overall, love this colourway, and I'm glad that I did get it in a slightly smaller size. It has actually given me some stats to look at that are quite intriguing. So going a half size down here to the UK 10.5, I've got 244 grams or 8.6 ounces. So it's barely 2 grams lighter than the UK 11. So if you are considering going down a half size, perhaps if you're going to race in these, if you're going for the marathon distance, then it might be better to go true to size. Now, I have to say that the slightly shorter length in these, and at least the actual material in the upper, is slightly better. I've got a better fit across the top of the foot, certainly at the initial eyelets. The toe box kind of reinforcement here just curves up a little bit more. It just feels a little bit more containing. So slightly less room up front, but it's very, very marginal. I've got about 1 millimeter less in the heel and the forefoot in this pair over the UK 11, the same perceived lower drop in the shoe as I always get with ALPHAFLY shoes, so around about 5 or 6 millimeters. So I got 43 millimeters in the heel and about 38 millimeters in the forefoot. So not even close to Nike's quoted 8 millimeter drop. My measurements have always been in the ballpark on all shoes, but I think it's something to do with the shape of the ALPHAFLY midsole, perhaps something to do with the arch as well. It just doesn't seem to add up with this shoe. It's just an outlier always. Now, I think from testing a UK 11.5, an 11 and a 10.5 now, looking at a UK 10, the weight's almost exactly the same. Again, you've only got a couple of grams less. I mean, you're going to get more variance in terms of production than you are anything. So I reckon the weight of the components in the ALPHAFLY 3 isn't really changing all that much between a UK 11, a 10.5 and a 10. I reckon most of it's down to the AirPods. I don't think those change in size within this kind of size bracket. That seems to be the only component that doesn't really change all that much across the range. I mean, weight's not everything, is it? 0.1 of an ounce between a 10 and an 11. You're not going to lose any sleep over that, are you? Though I've got about 0.5 centimeter less length here, and that is making a difference in terms of lockdown. So if you do have a more narrow foot and you've got the ability to actually test these out in store, perhaps at Nike Town or something in London, I think it's worth doing. You might be able to tailor the fit a little bit more to your foot. If you've got a wide foot, then yeah, absolutely don't go down a half size. You may need to go up a half size. So is this one an essential pickup? I'd say only if the shoe really works for you, and this is one that has been working exceptionally well for me in 2024. I wasn't training for it or anything, but I managed to run close to 20 minutes on the 5K the other day in my Volt pair, so I'm perhaps moving a little bit in terms of my suggestion for the use of the ALPHAFLY 3. I think you probably can race most of the common distances in that one. Obviously the huge hulk of foam that you've got here in the heels, always going to be useful towards the latter part of a marathon, but I don't think this is a massive departure from the previous releases. I'll only know if it's more durable than my Proto pair once I get some miles into it. I think I've got about 150 miles on the Proto pair. They keep on soldering on, keep cleaning them up, and they just keep on delivering. My legs feel fantastic today. 10 miles this morning, nice steady pace, and the shoe felt incredibly comfortable, so going to keep on with those until they fall to bits. What do you make of this Eliud Kipchoge colourway of the ALPHAFLY 3? Perhaps you've picked up the Kipchoge colourway of the Zoomfly 6. I think there's a Pegasus out as well, and a Vaporfly 3, so they're really going in big time, sort of Air Jordan style with good old Kipchoge the GOAT. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this absolute banger down in the comments. Well, I have to be honest, I definitely prefer this colourway over this one. It's just a little bit more subtle. Musical interlude for you. Today from Stephen Maltmus and the Jicks, Wig Out of Jag Bags. Can't believe this album's 10 years old. Whenever I put it on, I hear new things that I didn't find before. It's kind of like discovering new little elements of the songs. J Smooth is the best track on here though. Beautiful understated drums here and some lovely guitar tones. It's almost like Maltmus is picking at it with his hand very subtly. Some lovely almost jazzy vibes here. Then you've got this sleepy sort of horn section solo a bit later in the track, which is absolutely in keeping with the rest of the feeling. Lovely echoey guitar melodies towards the end. usher out the song. It really is a wonder. It's probably on par with Church on White from his debut solo album from way back in the early noughties. Go and check it out if you can find it, because they're very hard to find, these Steve Mottmas albums. Steve Mottmas and the Jicks with Wig Out at Jagbags. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this little look at the new Eliud Kipchoge colourway on that ALPHAFLY 3. Finally got it. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. Drop us a comment as well to help with the algorithm. My name's Ed Bud, and I'll be seeing you